Good afternoon everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. So here today we are looking at how to graph quadratic equations using the vertex form. So the vertex form is one of the most important formulas that you can use to graph quadratic equations. Why is that? Because some quadratic equations do not have an x-intercept, like where the curve crosses the x-intercept, but have the y-intercept and they have the turning point. So for such types of equation, the most reliable method to use is the vertex form. So this method can be used using the method of completing of the square, the knowledge that we have acquired from completing the square. So let's begin answering the question. So if we have the problem of y should be equal to 3x squared minus 6x plus 5. So how do we solve this one? So using the vertex form. So the first thing that we have learned from completing the square method is this one. We need to make x to be positive 1. So we are going to have y should be equal to, we have 3. We factorize the 3. So we have a 3. So if we factorize the 3, we remain with x squared. We have minus 6 divided by 3 gives us a 2x. Then we have 5 divided by 3, we have a 5 over a 3, like that. So now when we reach this stage, we can apply our knowledge of completing of the square method. So this will be y should be equal to, we have a 3, then we can use the square bracket, then we have x squared minus 2x. Now what we are going to do is, we are just going to halve the coefficient, meaning to say we are going to multiply by 1 over 2. So we are going to add the negative 2 times half, then we are going to square. Now in mathematics, to maintain the meaning, what we have introduced here, we should also subtract it so that it's more like we have introduced nothing. So we have a negative 2 times, it's the same number but the only difference is the sign here, times we have 1 over a 2, then we square this, then we also have 5 over a 3, like that. So now when we reach this stage, what we are going to do is, we are going to say our y should be equal to a 3. Like completing the square method, we are going to simplify things. So we have x squared minus 2x, then we have plus this divided by that, we are going to have a negative 1. So we have a negative 1 squared minus, even here we are going to have a negative 1 squared, then plus 5 over a 3, like that. So we are going to have our y should be equal to, we have a 3 open brackets. Now here, this part, it's more like we just forget about it or we just discard it, just as we do the completing of the square. So we are going to have a value of, we have x, so we are going to collect more like the like terms, the ones that have got squares, like this one, the one that is being added. So we have x, then we have minus, together with a sign minus 1, then the square is common, so we have minus that. Then we have minus, then what is negative 1 squared? This negative 1 squared is positive 1 times the negative 1 outside, which will be negative 1. Then we have plus a 5 over a 3, like that. So then we have y should be equal to, we have a 3, then we have our x minus 1, we have a squared. Then if we add negative 1 plus 5 over 3, we are going to have, common denominator is 3. So we have a negative 3 plus 5, which will give us a 2 over a 3. So same here, we are going to have a positive 2 over a 3. Now when you reach this stage, you have to multiply the coefficient outside throughout everything, so that we have y should be equal to 3 outside, open brackets, we have x minus 1, then we square it. Then this 3 again multiplies this, you will realize to say this 3 will cancel with that 3, so we have plus a 2. So this means to say we have converted into a vertex form. So if anytime you're asked convert into the vertex form, you are going to always use this method. So now when we reach this stage, we can now graph. The vertex form makes it very easy for us to graph any quadratic equation. So we have the graph like this. Then we are going to have these two. What is the meaning of these two? This 2 is the turning point for y. So always this 2 is the turning point for y. So we have a turning point at 2. Then looking at x, to find the turning point for x, we are just going to have a 3. Where is the 3? So we have a x minus 1. We are going to equate it to 0. So this is the turning point. So x should be equal to 1. So we have x is equal to 1. So the turning point is at positive 1, comma, a 2 there. So we have this point. Now the only thing that we need to find is the y-intercept. So most of these questions do not even have the x-intercept. So we are going to say, how do we find our y? So our y will be equal to, when at the y-intercept, x is equal to 0. So we are going to replace 0 in the equation. So we have y should be equal to 3, then open brackets 0 minus 1, then squared, then we have plus a 2. So we are going to find our value to be y should be equal to 3, negative 1 squared will give us 1, then plus 2. So this whole equation will be equal to 5. So this graph will pass at 5. So these are the most important things when looking at the vertex form. So to graph the points, we are just going to join them. So we have, it is going to be like this. So that is how we graph that one. So just forgive me for the symmetry, but you get the main idea. So the turning point is at that. So this is how we convert it to the vertex form. Let's look at our next example. So looking at the second example, we have y should be equal to negative x minus 4x minus 7. So how do we graph this one? So same approach. We are going to say y. So x always has to be positive. So we have negative 1 outside, open brackets, x plus 4x, then plus a 7. Then we are going to convert it. So we have x squared, should be x squared here. So we have y should be equal to negative 1. Then here we are going to say the same approach, x squared plus 4x, then add the half of the square of this, which is our 4 times half. Then you square this. Same number, you subtract, minus 4 times half. Then we square it. We have plus a 7 like that. Then when we do this, we are going to simplify it. So we have y should be equal to a negative 1. Then our x squared plus 4x. Then we have half of 4 is, we have plus 2 squared minus a 2 squared, then plus 7. Then when you reach this stage, we are going to have y should be equal to negative 1. Then pick those that have got squares, and here we have a positive. So we are going to have our x, then we have plus a 2, then we square this, then we have minus, here it says 2 squared is 4, then plus a 7 like that. Likewise, we are going to have y should be equal to negative 1, open brackets, we have x plus a 2, then we have squared, then negative 4 plus 7, that gives us a positive 3, then we have y should be equal to, we are going to multiply now this negative throughout. So we have the negative, open brackets, x plus 2 squared minus a 3 like that. Once we convert it to the vertex form, we can now be able to graph it. So according to this, the turning point is at, so we are going to equate x plus 2 equal to 0. So we just get this. So our x is equal to negative 2. So that's the intercept So we have negative 2 is somewhere here, negative 2. Then our y, the intercept for y is at negative 3. So we go at negative 3. So the intercept, the curve is at, the turning point is at this point. Then what we are going to do is what we did at the y-intercept x is equal to 0. So we are going to have y should be equal to negative 1, open brackets, where there is x we put 0, then plus 2 squared minus a 3. So we have y should be equal to, we are going to have negative 1, 2 squared is 4, then we have minus a 3 like that. Then we are going to have y should be equal to negative 4 minus 3, which will give us y is equal to negative 7. So the curve will turn at negative 7. Let me say my negative 7 is here. So to draw the graph, it means to say it will pass here. So it will pass here and go back like that. So to connect these points, so it's like this, it's concave down. So we have something like this. Let me just change the intercept. So that is how we graph that one. So we pass at the intercept, which is negative 7. The turning point is at negative 2,3. So that is how we graph using the vertex form. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you would like, subscribe, and share for more.